Hey guys, back again. Just going to do a bit of an update on the Groots zoo, I suppose you could call it. We've got plenty going on around this place. Keeps me very busy. So just keeping an eye on the whiptails that I put in today. I've been in there a couple of hours and they seem to be settling in quite well. Along with the reed tetras, I think are quite neat. So there's the three of them in there, one at the back on the big log and there, and one on the glass, whiptails. She quite liked this tank. It's a bit of a shame there's a few scratches on the front of it, but it didn't really bother me really. So I think this guy here is, no, I think that's a female. I think that's a female, the male might be back there. Anyway, we'll carry on. So that's in my bedroom. Down in the lounge, what used to be my goldfish tank, not for very long, has now become a geophagus tank, which wasn't really the plan, but I couldn't help myself. So these ones here are an albino threadfin acara. I think they're one of the most amazing tropical fish out, especially in the geophagus gene. Three of the others there, the Nanus, whatever they call them. I've left the snails in there, they do a good job. The goldfish I've moved outside because it's warm enough now. Look at these things. If you've never seen these, check them out online when they're adults. I mean, even now the colours are amazing. I feed them quite a bit of live food, a lot of brine shrimp, white worms, daphnia, bloodworms, and they're just unreal. There's a fire eel there, sort of sticking his head out. He's about, I don't know, 15 centimetres. I've got him feeding out of my hand sometimes. Loves bloodworms and earthworms. So there is a cactus pleco in here, smaller one, quite tiny, and a snowball. Hopefully at a later stage I'm going to get a couple of bigger cactus, maybe a royal, move one of my royals in here. There's the albino Senegal, Baisha. They're very slow growing, very slow growing. Eats like a horse, like his tummy's always full, like it is now. But yeah, very slow growing. Eats everything. So that's quite a cool setup. So everything I've got plumbed to the tanks outside, so I've got pipes and whatnot running underneath the house into the holding tanks. It's just a matter of turning taps on and off. This one drains out into the stormwater. Not bad for the first sort of system I've done. I really like the geos. Over here is old Rufus, the beta. You see, I've had him a long time, which is unusual. I really don't have much luck with these guys, but he's just a normal veil tail. Very friendly. Eats a lot of, well, eats everything really, but likes his brine shrimp and daphnia and white worms. Huge, he is massive. I just put a couple of more plants in there. He seems to love them, sort of hangs around on top of them, and they've got one guppy in there that he likes to chase around. It keeps him amused. It's his mate. Some snails to keep it clean. So you'll notice that most of my tanks I do have plants growing out of the top, so I think it's quite a, just makes it look a bit more natural, livens things up, soaks up all, you know, the excess nitrates, etc. This is the 1000 litre. This has had some big changes, some ups and downs. I lost my arowana, a silver arowana, a while ago, but it opened the door for a few other fish. This guy here, this Dalhousie Bosher, I got that at the same time as the albino. He is massive. He cruises around all day, all night, not aggressive. I do have an ornate in here. He's probably close to double the size, but very timid, very skittish, and also a grey somewhere. But yes, I've managed to find a red spot Severin, super red albino Oscar, or mosaic, and a mosaic black Oscar, T-bar cichlid, which is starting to colour up, and I think this thing's going to produce some beautiful colours. Tinfoil barb that was in with the geos, but I've moved them out with some filament barbs, just starting to put on some size. They're pretty cool fish, always active. Albino hoplo, and a blue acara. These are beautiful fish there behind the clowns there. They're a beautiful fish. I've had them in the past, and he's already showing some beautiful colours. So this one here has, I've always had trouble with trying to keep nitrates down in this tank, and I think it's obviously bioload, etc., but I do have a lot of filtration, but I've got plants that you can see over the top. Like peace lilies, snake plants, big monstera, some bushfish, huge albino pleco, and he does a good job, that fish, I tell you. Everyone seems to get on with everyone. The Festivums, for some reason, seem to think they're the boss of the tank, which is unusual with having Oscars. But definitely in feeding time that these two think that they should be eating first, and then no one is allowed any until they are full, which is quite funny to watch. I was going to put those two into, originally I set that tank up in my room for those two, but changed my mind because I think they're a bit big. I think they're male and female. I think that's possibly the male there. He's always displaying. Quite a big fish, be 15 centimetres length. Any other additions in here? I don't think. But these guys are definitely a lot happier since, which is not a good thing, well it is but it isn't, but since the arowana has gone. It's obviously opened the door for me to get a few other fish. And the beauty with having so many tanks, or bigger tanks, that I can swap them around if there is an issue. Overcrowding and... oh, look how fat that is. Look at that loach. That's a golden zebra. It's huge. I guess you ate all the pies, buddy. Jeez. Over here is my Xingu tank that I have the 3 juvenile whiptails from the parents that are in my room. They're half the size, these guys. With some pictus, 3 pictus in there. Albino cories, green cories, black neons. Those black neons, I love them, eh? They really stand out. There's a flying fox. Lemon tetras, I have not lost a fish in here since I set it up. Which is obviously good. There's another royal back there. I think that they're all the three of them are all females. I do have my Xingu pleco in here, my LO27, just see his tail there hiding between the rock. I've got a wild caught gold nugget, which is hiding somewhere, and also a blue Medusa that I very rarely see. It's usually hiding around the back. I did have some plants growing in this tank, and they were growing quite well. I don't know where that gold nugget is, but the which I find quite surprising, but the snails have sort of cleaned them out a bit. And there's plenty of algae and plenty of cucumber on a daily basis, so I don't know why. It's quite a cool setup. I would like to get a bit more flow into this tank. There's just a little power header there at the moment. I am going to put a bigger one in there for the whiptails and the plecos. Now this is all plumbed as well to the tanks outside, so it's got pipes running down, a drain that goes out into the garden, and the filler from the tank. I'll run this tank a little bit warmer than the others for the gold nugget, around about 25.7, but this time of year very hard to control. As you can see, 1,000 litres like a big thermostat on its own. I run it at 25.8, but that's mainly for the bices. But at the moment it's 4 o'clock in the evening and it's bumped up to 26.2. to this tank can get up to 28, 29 degrees. I run these Inkbird thermostats on most of my tanks, which I think are awesome. Even on my blue tongue lizard tank and my greenhouse, because you've only got one thermostat to worry about, because I do not trust the thermostats one bit on any brand of heater that I've ever had. The only downfall is that because you are relying on that one thermostat, if that thermostat goes out, then the heaters may not go, or they run on their own thermostats, and you're having to put the dials up on the heaters quite hot for them to run through that system. So it's a bit of a, haven't had anything go wrong yet with those Inkbirds, but hopefully never do. But at the moment they're really great. They're more efficient than the thermostats on the actual heaters, way more efficient. This tank, other than doing a water change, this tank may not ever, very rarely, especially spring and summer, will ever really click the heaters on and off, same as the one behind me, or any of the ones inside really. They can run for days, and I have checked the temperatures on a regular basis just to make sure that everything is dialed in and that it is right with reliable thermometers. Right, so we'll carry on outside. This is Izzy's tank outside on the porch. She seems to be out and about a lot more now. She loves it out here, it gets very warm. So this is the other one that I run for hers. So it runs the heat lamp on and off. And at night I actually put a sleeping bag over her cover, over her tank, and it reduces the power a bit. The heater's not going on and off all the time because it's still getting down to 12 degrees outside at night. But she sits quite comfortably around 22, 23 during the night. But she's exploring her tank a lot more now. So she was actually inside where the geophagus are. She's looking a lot better too, way better being out here. I'll carry on. And there's my babies. There's Oscar and Sophie. Just been